from the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine Tonight, with our guest, Donna Guzzo, Pastor Ford-Burse, Terrance Patterson, and musical guests Abigail and Andre Gruber. With your host, Jorge Rivera.
You look beautiful tonight. You all look beautiful tonight. I almost feel like I want to talk on this microphone, but this is for the musicians. I want to thank you. It's been a journey to get this done. As you know, the first show had to be canceled. There were problems with, this place was just loaded with carpenters' machines and stuff on the 9th. So that's why it didn't happen. And we all thought we could beat it, but at the end, Gail, Gail and Floyd were really disappointed. I was, because I had promoted the show from Italy and Paris. I was going, the mine. So that's how that went. But we recovered. We added that show, so our last show is really November 4th. It was a rough 2 years getting here. The last thing that happened here was the show. In the old theater, where the stage was on that side. And did we ever turn that camera on?
Yes.
Yes, it's on? Okay. It's live. Just hope I don't faint in the middle of this. And and this is the first gig happening here in the new, in the new venue. I know Gail and Floyd, they're the ones who basically run this place. They're almost like family, and I remember when I looked at this place for the first time, this building with them, it looked like a great place for a Halloween party. There were spider webs everywhere. I mean, it was really a wreck, and what they've made out of this place and what they've been able to generate. And it's very important for Lincolnville and also the black community that's been here in what was known as Little Africa for so long. It's also a sort of a symbol of strength for this community. So that was the last show, and then, as many of you know, I had a little dark period. I lost my mama, I lost my girlfriend, I lost my little dog, all in 14 months. My girlfriend died on Christmas Eve in my arms, It was hard. Now, it was a really dark place, and people would ask me, when are you going to do the show? This is season 6. And I really didn't have an answer. I was in a very dark place. And a friend reached out. She's not here, Shannon. Some of you know her. Yeah. She reached out and said, let's pull you out of this dark hole. Why don't you start your show? I'm going to Italy, to Venice. I'd love you to come with us. It was a group of us. Matter of fact, 2 of them are out here, Susan and Andre. Give them a hand. And so Shannon said, let's do it, let's film. She's what you call an Italian file, everything Italy. Well, it should be a Venice file, because Venice is the place. And we launched the show, brought me out of a really, start creating, thinking. We had our jackets, we talked with the Italians, we had a wonderful, wonderful time. And we came back, and like I said, we've been promoting the show for September 9th at the end. But that is part of why I was lots of people say, where are you? Are you still doing this? And I just needed that space to deal with whatever. We've all been there. It's nothing, I wasn't special. So now here's the show. And I'm great. The support, oh my God, the support that people gave us on the trip to Italy was amazing. There was people like Danny Berenberg right there, who's always been a great supporter of this show. Matter of fact, that poster was from season 4, where he was definitely involved really, really deep with other people. So Danny makes things happen. He's amazing. And so, yeah, so here we are, and I thank you. I just can't say enough of you, and a lot of people who are not coming to this show, but have told me I'll be there the second show, third show, I'll be there this show, and this is great. This is great. This show is a celebration of us as a community.
Yes.
It's not about filling hotels, it's not about filling restaurants, bars, or put people on a trolley. It's about people who make a difference here and in the area. And that's why we have donation boxes. If you can, we'll take watches, gold teeth, an old mink coat you don't want, lay it on the ground, whatever you can do, we'd appreciate it. But I felt that, the election had come, the economy, tariffs, all these things were, and I really didn't know where economically we'd be at this time. So I said, the first 3 shows we did, we never charged. Of course, we were broke in the thousands of dollars, but hey, I called it my horse habit, right? Playing the horses, yeah? And so it is what it is. Some people spend it on something that was my passion. It still is. So I thank you all for all the times you supported me. But, here we are, and I look at the news all the time, and one thing I found was I believe in Ghana, Africa, I found this very interesting. People are put in coffins, but the coffins are sculptured into something they like. So if you're a fisherman, they make this huge coffin in the shape of a giant fish, all colored, and it's open, and that's where you put your body. There was one guy, he was an addict, and his coffin was a syringe. Then there was someone who was a teacher, and he was very loved in the community. And so his coffin was this giant school with windows and cars, and it said Bob's School because his nickname was Bob, and that's where he was buried. And now that it's catching on in different countries, people are saying, well, now, I don't know if you remember many, many years ago, a guy fought the state of California to be buried in his Corvette. I don't know if you remember that. And eventually they did. He won. He's in his Corvette. He's driving in heaven. Hey! Everybody says that's cool. So I thought that was very funny. Another thing I found very funny was about Florida news. Florida is always in the news. And what was hilarious about that was that this woman walked her little dog, this tiny little puppy, and an alligator came and grabbed him. He had him by the leash, and he was pulling him. And she ran up to the alligator and started punching him in the face. And she punched him in the eye really hard. And the alligator left, but he scarred her. He cut her here, but not too deep, but he went away. So if you're driving and you see an alligator with a black eye, that's the alligator they're looking for. In the news also, Robert Redford died. That was such a bummer. He was 89, out of Africa, all the president's men, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I mean, every movie was like there's such thing as a movie, and then there's a piece of art. And that Out of Africa, I remember when he's on the plane with Meryl Streep, that scene is so beautiful. And yeah, all his movies are memorable. So we're gonna really miss him. Filmmakers like that, they don't come often. Other stuff in the news is, I think the funniest thing was a guy who opened a hamburger stand, and he wanted to be pro-election, so it was called Trump Burgers. And he was selling all these burgers, everything was doing great till they deported him. Life is like that. It's ironic, yeah? So that was hilarious. But listen, we have a great show tonight. We have some wonderful guests. We have Donna Guzzo, you'll get to know her. Half of you already know her. We have Pastor Ford-Burse. We also have Terrance Patterson, a wonderful musician and a creative person in the music world. So, yes, let's get ready for this show, and we have our musical guest. Yes, please come up our musical guest. Abigail Andre Gruber.
Here we are at Augie's Pizza. Look at that. Look at that pasta. Yes, you call dough pasta in Italian. That's the salsa. Oh my God, look at that. Now comes the formaggio, the cheese. Look at that mozzarella. Oh, we're going for the pepperoni here. La salchicha, yes, the sausage. Olives. Oh my God, this is the supreme. There she is, ladies and gentlemen, La Suprema. Oh, maestro, give it a cut. This is beauty, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this, huh? Look at this. Are you ready for Augie's Pizza? I am. El maestro here. Look at that. This is art, my friends. So, you know where to be. Augie's Pizzeria on King Street. Take this home, or you can eat it here. See you later.
I'll see you in my dreams, hold you in my dreams. Someone took you out of my arms, still I feel the thrill of your charms, lips that once were mine. Tender eyes that shine, they will guide my way tonight. I'll see you in my dreams. I'll see you in my dreams, hold you in my dreams. Someone took you out of my arms, still the thrill of your charms, lips that once were mine. Tender eyes that shine, they will guide my way tonight. I'll see you in my dreams. I'll see you in my dreams. Thank you.
This
Hello,
beautiful.
everybody.
This is Donna Guzzo, everybody. Let's give her a hand. And while I was here, I wanted to mention Shirley's Flowers, Flowers by Shirley. Every year for 6 seasons, this is the kind of thing they bring us. I have to bring it back, of course. It's not a kid. But tomorrow morning I bring their thing. But Wendell Revis is an amazing, amazing St Augustinian. And I've known him for probably 15 years. So he's been very kind to us.
Very nice.
All right. So like I was saying, I met Donna Guzzo, and you were 8 years as the director of that FirstCoast Cultural Center in Ponte Vedra. And you're originally from where? You have a very interesting story of where you were born and how all that went.
Yes, well, half Spanish, half Cuban. So when we met recently, I said to him, well, legally, I am from Cuba because I was born there. My mother happened to be visiting my biological father and went into flavor. So I technically, I am Cuban, but my mother is from Sevilla, Spain, and I grew up in the Canary Islands, and I consider my hometown Miami. That's where I went to school, elementary, middle, high school, and college.
Can you have a Spanish passport, Josefina?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Well,
And you have to have a Cuban passport.
Yes, so I don't only have 2 passports, I have 3. Anybody wants a passport?
That is, so you live in the Las Islas Canarias.
Las Canarias.
You know, Puerto Ricans talk, a lot of our lingo is very much influenced by the Canary Islands. A lot of the slang, we use that same slang. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. So what I noticed about you when we had our conversation, what I found most interesting was that you've always been in sort of the work of volunteer work.
Mm-hmm.
You've always been giving to the community. And now, after you left the cultural council there in Ponte Vedra, what are you doing now? It is community work.
Well, I'm doing a variety of things, but like I was telling the pastor earlier today was the first day that I saw the sunrise in 6 months. So that's retirement for you. I had to go to a training for community hospice palliative care. That's where I'm volunteering with my dog. I have a golden doodle. She's 50 pounds, and she's a therapist. Literally, she has a badge and it says dog therapist. So we go and visit memory care centers. I go to Brookdale here in St. Augustine. I go to the Palm Valley, Ponte Vedra Gardens memory care. And I also go to the Bailey Center Hospice. So that keeps us busy and hopping, plus special events if the police department, the sheriff's department calls me or Mayo Clinic calls for a specific event, and we're there as well. She has her, like I said, her badge, but she also has a particular harness that I put on her, and she knows immediately that she's to work. So she gets very serious and ready to go. The tail is wagging and barking. I think, "Oh, Mom, hurry up."
Right. And how is the interaction between her and the people she interacts with?
Well, she was trained through ATD, and it's a national company that spends about 3 months training your dog. Not only you as a handler, I'm the handler, and the dog with the trainer, but also they train her to be around other dogs and around people. So we did some training in memory care and hospices. The dog is trained also with her nose. So it's very different when we go to a memory care facility as to a hospice facility. When we go to memory care, she goes to each patient and she lets them pet her, and she loves doing tricks, and the patients just love her. Sometimes they think that's their dog. So when I first started 6 months ago, one of the residents from a senior living facility said, "Oh, that's Sam, that's my dog." And I used to correct her, like, no, this is Bella Bambina. And the staff corrected me and trained me, and they said, "No, just go with the flow." So now she's Sam, she's whatever you want to be. So they love having her, and it just brings a smile to their faces. And you can see them interacting, or they read her harness, will say sharing joy or God's blessing, and they just love reading that or reading her name. But when we go to hospice, she actually goes straight to the bed where the patient is lying, and she'll put her head on the bed, and she will not leave until I call her. She stays there. She's also a dog that knows how to pray. So before we leave hospice, I do extend my arm, and she gets on too, and she puts her head down and she prays for the caregivers. So she definitely knows, and that's where the nose training comes in. She knows who's about to pass away, and it's the caregivers cry. A lot of times they're just crying because they see that, or they try to hold her to pet her, and she's like with that patient. If the patient's arms and hands are under their covers, which typically they are, she sniffs and looks for them, and I have to explain, "Can you get the hand out?" Because that's what she wants to lick, and she'll lick. So it's a beautiful program, and so we've been doing it for about 6 months. But aside from that, I do have a language exploration enrichment program that I have for 22 years. This is our 23rd year. And it is in the St. John's County School District Public Schools, K through 5th, and it is after school, teaching Spanish to Anglo students. And 23 years now, successful track record. I have more than 7 teachers who have won Most Valued Educator in the state of Florida. I was inducted with Janet Robles, my Puerto Rican co-director, into the Teachers Hall of Fame here in Florida in 2018. And 13 times a student, a 5th grader, has won Scholar of the Year, competing against all the schools in Florida, K through 5th, including Dade County, which offers, the full immersion in Spanish classes. So I'm very proud of that program, and it is a fundraiser. It's not a business. It's a nonprofit 501c3 that gives the dollars back to the schools that participate.
Now, how long have you been in St. Augustine?
Since 2003.
Wow. Where were you before that?
Before that, I was in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
Yes. And before that, Akron, Ohio.
Akron, Ohio. You were in Akron for a while, weren't you?
I was there for 5 years.
Wow. Did you like Akron?
It was very different coming from Miami. That was my hometown, Miami, the food, the melting pot, and then you go to Akron, Ohio, it's like, ooh, gray skies and snow and
Right, no rice and beans or palm trees.
Steak and potatoes.
What were you doing? Yeah, meat and potato land. What were you doing there?
The job, my husband's job,
Okay.
took him there.
All right. And so then Denver, and
Then Denver, which was lovely. I love the outdoors. Very different now, but I did love the time that we had there with, a lot of outdoor stuff to do and really nice people. First time I had buffalo meat.
Yeah, I always hear great things about Colorado. I only went to a place called, I'm trying to think, a locomotive runs through there. It just escaped me. It's like on the border, it's up in the mountains. And,
Oh, to go to the Ice Peak?
no, if I heard it, I'd know, but it was very interesting. That was and I've been to the Grand Canyon, and that's kind of border with Arizona, kind of.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, Denver has grown a lot. I just went this year and I'm like, oh, I don't remember this like
Yeah, I
this.
stayed in a little hotel, and the guy at where you register, he looked at me, "Welcome to God's country." I remember he said that, and I said, "Yeah, you could argue that point."
It's beautiful.
Very beautiful, beautiful. Now, when you first came, you came to Jacksonville, but you were looking for good schools for your little girl.
Yes, so that was back in 2003. I had a kindergartner then, and I was looking for the best school system public, because I believe in public school, and we landed in St. John's County.
Right. One thing I found amazing about our conversation is that you met the Pope, and you're
Yes.
involved, and you met the Pope, and you're involved with the United Nations. Also, very deep.
Yes, so I had the opportunity to meet the Pope one-on-one. That was Pope Francisco, who just passed away. And it was a peace project that I was able to bring to him from the children here in the schools, and also from the FirstCoast Cultural Center summer camp. It was a summer. I happened to be there with my husband for vacation, and I had requested a visit with him, and it was denied because he wasn't there. He was on vacation during the month of July. So when we landed back here in Jacksonville, 2 days later, not even 48 hours, they called me and said, "The Pope will see you now." And I'm like, oh my God. And my husband said, "You gotta go back. You can't just not see the Pope."
I'm sorry, you missed your opportunity, Pope.
But really, that was the United Nations. That was through the United Nations, because I'm an ambassador with the United Nations.
You're still active?
I'm still active with them. The first cohort of the founders of Sustainable Development Goals, which are the 17 goals to be met by year 2030. Some of those goals are, for example, stop hunger, climate, clean water, peace. I'm wearing my peace pin tonight. And so at that time, this was, very tricky, because the United Nations had asked the Pope to agree and to support equal gender, and the bureaucracy was incredible.
Yeah.
So it was no, and they're like, "Well, Donna, you need to go. You're the Hispanic one. You speak his language." and you need to get him to hang that flag. And equality, gender equality was more about how the pay is for men or women, etc. So that's what we were talking about. I was able to meet with him, had that one-on-one. I took my daughter with me so she could have that experience. And she never spoke. She was always like, what do I do? He was literally, this is how far we were. And so talked to him about it. We laughed. He said a lot of jokes. Told me how he sneaks out at night and gave money to the Swiss guards so that he could sneak out. The doctors had him on a diet. He wanted pizza with a pineapple. That's what he did in Argentina. He told me about the milk that he was shipped from the Argentinian cows because he couldn't bring the cows from Argentina. And we had to taste it. It was all silky milk. So anyway, it was a great,
Unforgettable.
great, la química,
the chemistry.
The chemistry was unbelievable. And so he said, when do you leave? I said, tomorrow. I was just here, so I'm here for 24 hours to see you. And he said, what can I do for you? And I said, when my husband and I were here last week, we went through the Sistine Chapel, which was always a dream to go see it and take some pictures, and I was not allowed. And all I heard is, shh, keep moving, shh, keep moving.
Yeah.
So, and that was a semi-private,
Yeah.
And said, I would love to pray there with nobody around me. And he said, you got it, come back tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. So I did. I had a private tour of the entire Vatican, or most of the Vatican, the Sistine Chapel. I got to turn on lights. My daughter got to open doors. It was just incredible. And that's when we had the breakfast with the Argentinian milk. But it was a great experience because at 10 o'clock that morning, his detail folks told me, now that you're here, stay until 10 because at 10 there's a surprise for you. And so my daughter and I hung out, and at 10 o'clock, those flags came down.
Wow.
So I have all those pictures of the equal gender United Nations flag. So that's one of the goals of the 17 goals. But speaking of surprises, you have no idea about this in the show. And I only had one complice who's holding my pin. But in the last 10 years, I've been with the United Nations since 2015. The last 10 years, I have pinned 3 people, because it's not easy. You can't just pin people walking around, let me pin you.
Hey, you want a pin?
And so in 10 years, I've pinned 3 folks. And today, I would love to pin you on behalf of the United Nations because of your background in the military, and I know you're always promoting peace, and that's why I'm wearing my peace.
Yes.
Thank
pin,
you.
and I'd like to pin you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm an ambassador now. It's interesting when you meet people like say the Pope. I had the chance to meet Václav Havel, who brought the communists down and everything. I had breakfast with him. I went to a rock concert with him. And it was amazing because, they have this energy around them, and that's what makes them
And they're real
special.
people.
Yes, you
In the
realize.
flesh, you feel like, oh my God, what am I, the night before, it's like you can't sleep.
Like, oh wow.
What am I going to say? What am I going to do? Do I shake the hand? Do I kiss the ring? And the first thing I said is, I'm not Catholic.
How low do I bow, if they're Asian? Yes.
I know, I was so nervous about the Catholic thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm a Protestant, I'm not Catholic. And that's the first thing I said. He's like,
But,
you're the king's daughter. That's what he said.
Like someone said, God's house has no doors. Everyone is welcome,
Yeah.
I thank you so much. This is so great, so
Pleasure.
interesting. Let's give Donna Guzzo a hand. And we'll be back after these messages.
Located on 62 Cunha Street in St. Augustine, the Modern Rose Cafe celebrates Maria Antoinette's colorful and playful spirit. This is evident in the cafe's decor, which features furniture, paintings, tableware, and other assorted curiosities. The menu promises a feast for the eyes and palate. The cafe has a wide selection of teas and coffees, including organic blends, and serves brunch all day with an abundant selection of vegan meals and desserts, as well as gluten-free options. You never know who might come through the doors of the Modern Rose Cafe. You might be pleasantly surprised. Please come and join us.
So we're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with Pastor Gruber. Yes, if you don't know the pastor, she's the pastor here of the African Methodist Episcopal Church here in Lincolnville. It's just like 3 blocks. You could literally throw a rock and hit the, well, you don't want to hit the train, but you know what I mean. So I'm so glad that you said yes when we talked, and I find that church so interesting. I've always had a relationship with it, you know, when Rolls was there, and now you're there. And how long have you been at that church?
For about 4 years.
4 years? Oh, I got it. Hold on. I know what it is. Wait 3 seconds. And now we are. Yes. 4 years?
4 years. 4 exciting years.
Okay.
4 good years.
And where were you before you came to
I was
this
at
one?
St. James AME Church in Orange Park, Florida.
Orange Park.
Yes.
Well, I guess the nice thing about it is that your friends aren't that far away. You still have, you know, Orange Park is just down the road, basically.
Yes.
Now, this church has been there how long now?
152 years.
152 years.
152 years.
So that, I'm trying to do the math. Anyone good at math out here? That's a, wow. And that, is it in the same place or was it somewhere else?
It was somewhere else.
And it ended up here. But it's been there for a long time.
Yes.
Where it's at. And it has so much history. Martin Luther King spoke in that church.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And several others, Andrew Young and Jackie Robinson and Ralph Abernathy. Yes.
It's one of those in the history books. You know, when you go into these men's lives, this is one of the places they had to stop to share some thoughts with the people. Now, how did you get that calling? How did you know you wanted to be a pastor of a church? It's a 24/7 job.
25/8. Well, a calling is a very special religious experience, and sometimes when you're so down, you can only look up. And I was in that place in my life, and I was just talking to God and saying, "What is it that you want from me?" And He said, "I want your life." And so that's how I knew I was called to do God's work.
Wow. And so then you had to go to like a seminary and a college and all that?
Through the AME Church, you have to go through what we call the Institute, which is 4 years, and then we have to have a bachelor's degree, and then go to seminary and get a Master's of Divinity degree. So then we get ordained a deacon, and then we get ordained an elder. So I was ordained an elder.
Now, once you had the credentials, the knowledge, as they say, were you an assistant pastor, or did they throw you in the wolves, like, this is yours?
I was thrown in
with the wolves,
Yes. I actually started pastoring in Lake City, Florida, and I wasn't even finished with seminary, but one of the presiding elders saw some potential in me, and actually I was working for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in the production area, and they wanted to build a church in Lake City, so I went and built a church over in Lake City. And then when I built that church, they said, "Oh, we want you to go build a church in Orange Park." So I went to build a church in Orange Park, and I stayed in Orange Park for 18 years, and then I came here.
Wow. Well, you told me a funny story about Lake City. The people were rural people.
Oh, yes.
And you said the best strategy, which you didn't do, was to come like in jeans and sneakers and a big T-shirt, but you came very proper and everything. Yes. So it took a while before that trust was there.
Yes, I had to go and farm and pick vegetables and sit at tables and, you know, learn to eat a lot of foods that I really don't like to eat, but I had to eat them and get to know the people. It's just like what Jesus said, you have to meet the people where they are.
Right.
And it took me some time to do that. It was interesting because I have several degrees, and I went to this small rural church, and I was introducing myself, and I was like, oh, you know, thinking that education was impressive, but they didn't care about that at all.
Right.
And so I went and said, oh, I went to the University of Florida, got my PhD, I'm an anthropologist, and they just looked at me like,
And they went,
and what? That was,
what do you got for us?
yeah, so then I had to go, and they make syrup every year, so they get sugar cane, and then you have to go and skim and, you know, just do all these kind of things to make syrup. That was a community thing, so I was able to go out and make syrup with them and, you know, and learn how they plant collard greens and peas and pick peas in the fields, and then I became more accustomed, and they became more accustomed to me. We had a great ministry. We'd be able to do a lot. We were able to do a lot there.
Well, yeah, you know, and I think when you're a pastor of a small church like that, you had about how many members maybe in this small little church?
It's about 30, 35.
35 people? Yeah, you get so involved in their lives, baptisms, death, sickness, jail, all sorts of things that people go through.
Yes.
And yeah, I guess they did the initiation with you. Let's see if she can make some syrup. Not bad for a well-educated woman. Yeah. And so there you were. But now going back to the church itself, a lot of churches are complaining that less and less people are going into mosques and synagogues and Christian church of different denominations. What do you think for your denomination, for your church, what do you think is the biggest crisis, if there is one?
I think right now our biggest challenge is being able to relate to the millennials and the younger generation. We have a lot of traditions that are not appealing to young people. And after the pandemic and during the pandemic, people just kind of got more accustomed to social media. They got more accustomed to watching on television, and so the attendance level, I think, around the country has gone down in terms of, you know, having an appeal to the congregants, because they've kind of gotten a little comfortable at home and doing other things. And you know, church now competes with football. I mean, football is everybody's.
And some churches have online services. People are too lazy to go to church, so you don't know how long they'll stay. And they go to see who won the football game.
And sometimes, yeah, that's true, football. And another challenge of the church, I think, a lot of people are not feeling safe anymore in our communities because of all of a lot of rhetoric and a lot of hate.
Hate's big now.
So people feel safer at home.
Right. And there's a certain fear. Yeah, I feel that, you know, our country or any country goes through phases. You know, when I was young, I remember I was 8 years old when they killed Kennedy. Then they killed X when I was 10. Then it was Bobby Kennedy after Martin Luther King. It was like boom, 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 boom. You saw cities burning, draft cards burning, flags. You know, I think as Americans we thought at that period of time, will the Republic survive that? And we did. And I think anytime we perceive crisis, I think this country's smart enough to find a way to survive, you know.
And we will survive.
Yeah,
we will survive this.
And so now, are you having the problem? I talked with some other black pastor in his church, and his challenge was trying to get young people to come in. Are you also feeling that?
Oh, that's it. It's the.
I think all churches are having that problem.
It's the 20 to like 40 age group. It's really a challenge because, as I mentioned, it's churches old-fashioned to them. It's hard. We live in a world of technology and 30-second bites, and you know, swiping right and left and looking at your cell phone every 5 minutes.
The finger exercise.
Churches, it's hard to get that kind of 1 hour attention anymore. It's just the appeal. You know, we don't have the flashing lights and the, you know, the smoke in the mirrors and all of that. And a lot of times they get that that on social media, they get that on television. So that's a challenge, but we can meet the challenge. We're finding different ways to do things. We're trying to, you know, this week we have jazz and crafts, so maybe we can get people out to do that. We do a lot of different, yes.
Yeah. I remember one of the large black churches in New York, the Abyssinian Baptist Church, with Calvin Butts, an incredible institution in New York. He died of cancer a couple of years ago, which broke the city's heart. But I remember, you know, I would bring friends there because European friends would come visit. We want to see a black church. And this one was the, you know, with the choirs and the preacher was, you know, it was great. And but I remember that they would have all this tests for policemen, special classes for typing, computer classes. It was really a church, but it was a community center of learning, and it really helped a lot of the young people. I'll always remember that. Say, wow, this is like a little university, you know. And so, what kind of outreach does your church do in the community?
Well, recently we just had a job fair where we invited, you know, people
to come. How did that go?
That went really well, really well. We had 8 different organizations, businesses to come in.
Yes.
We had several people to come in and apply for jobs. A few people got hired on the spot.
Oh my God!
So that was good.
Hallelujah.
That was good. And we've had music camps where we partnered with the Sacred Music School, and that was fascinating because we had, you know, professional violinists, pianists, harpists, cellists. They came in and they taught the children how to play the instruments in 1 week, and they, you know, the parents were very excited about that.
Yes.
We do, you know, we do the camps, and then we do, one of the things that we're really happy about is our Christmas tree park. Right here, right next door.
In that open space in the park?
St. Paul Park. So we have about 30 to 35 organizations. We provide the trees, and then they come out and decorate the trees. So it's always interesting to see how people, the sheriff's office, you know, decorated with their
stuff.
Yes,
Yeah. Everybody has a style.
Yes. So, and one year I was really Trinity Church downtown. They decorated the kids, their preschool, all created little angels, which were really, really nice. And then the Betty Griffin House, they decorated their tree with all purple ribbons. So it was really nice. It's really nice. So
are you going to do it this year?
Yeah, we've been doing it every year since I've been here. So yes, this year the dedication is December 6th. We do the lights December 6th, and this year we're going to do it a little differently. We're going to have a ceremony in the church, and then we're going to walk over with lit candles into the park, singing, and then we're going to light the Christmas trees. Yes.
Wow. And you also feed homeless people.
Yes.
Once a month at Francis, you bring all this food.
Yes.
You also bring things to food banks and hygiene products to people for a little church.
Yes.
You're lifting a lot of weight.
We're a big church. We're not a little church. We're big.
and no, but I think it's you know, communities need. I feel that the stronger a community can be when there's a crisis, something happens that shocks everybody. I think it's that bond with everyone that makes the community survive that. You know, whether it's a natural disaster like a hurricane or something like a shooting, whatever. You know, this is what people have already created, these relationships of trust, so everyone can work together to find a solution.
Absolutely. Just wanted to share something interesting. We do feed the hungry and the homeless, the unhoused, you know, the third Monday of every month, and yesterday we fed like 65 people. And the leader of that is a 102-year-old Cora Tyson. She organizes, she cooks a lot of the food, and sometimes she works 10-hour days.
Is it Dorothy Israel? No. Would that be her?
Cora Tyson.
Cora Tyson. Oh,
yes, she works sometimes 10 hours, 12 hours at 102. And the day before that, she was at the church at 4:30 a.m. preparing for meals for the congregation. So from 4:30 until about 4 o'clock p.m., she was at the church cooking, cleaning, decorating, whatever, at 102 years old.
I guess she'll be there at 122. I mean, that's a lot of strength. I mean, you have to have a passion that affects you biologically to just keep doing it.
She was actually hosted Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King when he came here back in 1964. He and Andrew Young stayed at her house.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Must have some great pictures.
Yeah, she does. She does. Great memories.
Well,
So that's the interesting thing about the ministry. We get exposed to young people through our camps and music and outreach, and then we have the experience of, working with someone who was an advocate in civil rights and working with some of the people that some of the congregants are actually marched with Dr. King when he was here in 1964.
God bless him.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for coming.
Oh, his time is up already?
Yeah.
Oh, I got so much more to say though.
Here we are at Augie's Pizza. Look at that. Look at that pasta. Yes, you call dough pasta in Italian. That's the salsa. Oh my God, look at that. Now comes the formaggio, the cheese. Look at that mozzarella. Yo, we're going for the pepperoni here. La salchicha, yes, the sausage. Olives. Oh my God, this is the supreme. There she is, ladies and gentlemen, La Suprema. Oh, maestro, give it the cut. This is beauty, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this, huh? Look at this. Are you ready for Augie's Pizza? I am. El maestro here. Look at that. This is art, my friends. So, you know where to be. Augie's Pizzeria on King Street. Take this home, or you can eat it here. See you later.
What a beautiful voice, a guitar and a violin. This is Abigail and Andre Gruber.
Please release me, let me go.
Located on 62 Cunha Street in St. Augustine, the Modern Rose Cafe celebrates Maria Antoinette's colorful and playful spirit. This is evident in the cafe's decor, which features furniture, paintings, tableware, and other assorted curiosities. The menu promises a feast for the eyes and palate. The cafe has a wide selection of teas and coffees, including organic blends, and serves brunch all day with an abundant selection of vegan meals and desserts, as well as gluten-free options. You never know who might come through the doors of the Modern Rose Cafe. You might be pleasantly surprised. Please come and join us.
We're back, everybody. We're back with Mr. Terrance Patterson. I've seen Mr. Patterson is a musician, and lower the volume on that a little bit because we're getting the. Yes, thank you. Thank you. You still hear me, hopefully. He's an incredible musician, and he also organizes a group that has played around the world, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, Mr. Terrance Patterson, I'm glad to have you here.
Glad to be here. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now you live in Jacksonville, yes?
I do.
All right.
Born and raised.
And so you're an original, as we say.
Absolutely.
And start something real quick. And so what I wanted to say is now you studied at the Peabody in Baltimore, one of the great schools like Juilliard and Curtis, also in Philadelphia. This is like one of the top schools. What was your instrument, sir?
I'm a clarinetist. On a good day.
On a good day.
Sometimes I wonder what I'm doing. But yes, I'm a clarinetist. I started actually on piano, but when I found the clarinet, I just went from there. And so I'm mostly a clarinetist, so you don't want to hear straight piano at this point.
And then what made you pick the clarinet at the end?
Well, the clarinet. Well, I'm one of 13 siblings.
Wow.
And I want to tell you what number I am. I'm going to cut you out of all these dates going on tonight. I'm not going to date myself too much. But when my parents, who were not musicians, I call them technocrats, they always had a passion for all of us learning music in some capacity.
Right.
Mostly to service the church.
Right.
And I was going into the 7th grade, and I had a music class, and I remember seeing this array of musical instruments that was laid out to pick one because of all my brothers and sisters that had played. There was a trombone and a French horn, but that was way too big. And I saw a saxophone, and I was like, oh no. Then I saw a flute, and I was like, that was way too small. Then I saw the clarinet case, and it was just right.
Just like Goldilocks. Yes, just like Goldilocks.
So it worked out from there, and so I don't know how many years later, still here we are with me and the clarinet. You know, most clarinet players are crazy. I've been.
Now, your years on the Peabody, did you enjoy those years at the school? I mean, is it as traditional and as strict as some people say it is?
It is. Peabody was the first conservatory in the United States. It predated Juilliard, Curtis, and all the other schools. It recently, but right before I attended, it expanded its, I guess, reach by John Hopkins
Kind of
merging the school.
All right.
We didn't have, thank God, we didn't have to go to classes at Hopkins. We still stayed on our particular campus, but there were some incredible forward-thinking degree programs that Peabody offered, and like recording engineering. So you could get your music degree at Peabody, and you could be at Johns Hopkins getting engineering and all those other
Oh,
degrees
wow.
that work very
So
well
it kind of
together.
expanded the selection in the music world, what you could
It
learn.
really did. And I enjoyed Peabody to a particular extent. It was, let me say it this way, Peabody was very realistic in particular at being a student there, meaning that unlike most schools, it didn't have like all these different levels of orchestra. They had one. You audition every year. If you got in, great. If you didn't, oh well. And very how the society was working. I did run into an interesting situation because I'm black. Yes, don't adjust your screens. in a profession where I had actually had a professor who thought that I had, because of my color, I should never have been at the conservatory.
Right.
And I never forget that it was
Difficult?
it was very difficult because I didn't know what to do because he just wouldn't grade. He wouldn't even waste the time. So he said to even grade my papers. He didn't want to, it was.
He just didn't want you there.
Did not,
He was hoping he'd beat you enough that you'd go away.
period.
Mm-hmm.
And so but my one-on-one with my clarinet professor as to why I went to Peabody was extraordinary. So other levels of education I really did like, but that was also I will speak to as an education as to how our artistic world sometimes is viewed, because sometimes they don't think that minorities, black musicians are in classical music. It's a small percentage, but
Now
yes, we're there.
let's clear to the people, because you're black, you're not jazz, you're classical.
Yeah.
I bet when you tell people you play the clarinet, they think you're a jazz musician. Am I right or wrong?
All the time. And I respect jazz, and there
I love
are
jazz.
people who cross over very
Yes.
into it. I'm not, unfortunately, I'm not one of them, but I do see colleagues, and I enjoy seeing them, doing both. Clarinet is such a quirky instrument. Sometimes it's hard to do both because one, your classical quote-unquote chops will suffer and sound because you're trying to play jazz, or you're jazz, you don't want to sound like a classical clarinet player. So it's always interesting dynamic to try to work.
So here's a question for you. Could you say there's a rich selection of classical music for clarinet? Or is it difficult to find classical music for clarinet?
Oh, no. I think it took us a while to develop into the classical world. There's a composer you may have heard of, Mozart, who was one of the, at that time, the clarinet had just been developed. So you think of the violin, which we still play on instruments from 1679 Strats.
Yes.
Those were, and we're still luxuriating over those instruments continuously. The clarinet was a big clunk of something at that point. So those early times, orchestras hadn't developed to where they were including clarinet. And around Mozart time and around that time, it started gaining prominence, only because composers seem to have, as Mozart did, developed an affinity for clarinet, usually right along the later time in their lives. So Mozart, who heard a clarinet that he enjoyed and decided, oh my God, there's a clarinet, let me write some works for it. And in quick succession, he wrote a clarinet quintet, clarinet concerto, a trio with viola, and right soon after he did those things, he died. And then Brahms similarly did the same thing. Brahms, which was always interesting to me because I had never heard of a composer retiring
Ritz chamber players. I've seen you guys play, and you guys are amazing. And I believe you were in the last Juneteenth concert at the Basilica here, and it's just, they have to close the door. You know, people came to hear you guys, and we had to close the doors of the cathedral like Noah's Ark, the people trying to get in, you know, and it was packed, and it was beautiful. Now, tell me a little bit about this group, the Ritz Chamber Players.
The Ritz Chamber Players, it's a group, we started at the Ritz Theater in Jacksonville, Florida, similar to this beautiful museum we're here tonight at the Lincolnville Museum, similar in Jacksonville. And we started to be a united front to, as we were just saying, there's so few, there's less than 2% of representation of Black artists in American orchestra. So, I mean, we don't think about it sometimes when you go to an orchestral concert or chamber concerts. There are usually not. Right. If it's just one, there's never usually more than two in an orchestra. And that's something that we thought needed attending to, and that's particularly been our mission. So that's basically why we started. We have to do better than having.
How many are you? How many are you in this group?
There are about, let's say about 20, 25 artists from around the world that we'll choose, depending on what repertoire we're performing. Like you mentioned, our last Juneteenth concert that we did in conjunction with the St Augustine Music Festival.
Yes.
Which is great partners, great organization, and very adventurous because the program was, because June is Juneteenth, but it's also Black Music Month,
right.
And it's so many things, and it's the birth month of James Weldon Johnson, and I'm sorry the pastor that was just on, and it's also Queer Month. So, sorry. And so the program that we did was all Black music and a lot of women composers. And I thank you that people have felt comfortable enough to come and hear the chamber players, because we still struggle with the idea of doing new music, and you're always going to get that when you come to a Ritz Chamber Players concert, because we're always bringing forward Black composers, women composers that you may not have heard before.
Music is haunting. It's haunting. And I've learned so much with you guys playing. And also Jorge Pena. That's very adventurous. Yeah. And the joke with him is when he wanted to learn how to play the violin, and the teacher gave him a violin. And he found out months later it was a viola. That is so funny. Because I interviewed him, I just was, the tears were coming out. It was so funny.
And he and I went to Peabody.
Yes. But this Blacks and Women, I was shocked to find out that the Vienna Philharmonic allowed the first woman to play in 2003.
Right.
And the Berlin Philharmonic brought the first woman in 1982.
Sabine Lai, clarinetist. And when Berlin did that, half of the orchestra was saying they would quit if she wasn't fired.
Oh my God.
They just thought, and in Vienna, I think the first one was a harpist.
Yes, I think it was the harpist, yes.
So, you know, if you watch the Vienna, they were doing the New Year's concerts from Vienna, blah, blah.
They're world famous.
They would never show her, they would only show her hands.
Oh,
they would never show her in the orchestra. But it reminds you that these traditions, there's so many things in classical music that we have to bring forward.
Yes.
And like you said, not so long ago, they really thought that a woman being in the orchestra would change the sound of the orchestra.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild? That is like black cats and jackals in the Inquisition.
Right. So if you imagine that, can you imagine someone black?
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, they don't have
like you said, you introduce new music. You see, my pet peeve with classical music sometimes is like, even with opera, if it's not Puccini, if it's not Verdi, if it's not Wolfgang, Amadeus Mozart, people don't. And yet Vivaldi put some beautiful Tchaikovsky put mainly a Tchaikovsky opera. No one can. Tchaikovsky was great. And it seems like it's always the same Chopin, Brahms, Mozart, Beethoven, Brahms, Chopin. And it's like, hello? I mean, if these guys were alive, they'd be billionaires. They'd be billionaires. Their music is constantly played. So that's what I love of your group, is that you educate us and show us something very, very beautiful that's being neglected. And
we enjoy doing that. There's so many, and we know it's scary sometimes, so we appreciate when people trust us enough to come and give it a whirl.
Right.
And it's funny, I'll tell you, during the Juneteenth performances, we did a performance in Jacksonville, the Cummer Museum, and there was a patron, and she comes every time we're at the Cummer, she's there, she's ready. And I was talking to her before the concert started, and she was like, and I was like, yeah, I know some people do, get scared of what we're promoting. She said, yeah, I'm scared too. But I come, and I'm like, yeah, she said, but she said that she comes because she's getting more and more into the idea of being introduced to something new.
Right.
And when it's hopefully done well, it excites you. And so she said sometimes, she has to pull herself forward, but she tries and she trusts us to bring her something interesting. And we did this work by Dr. Okoye, and our first time performing this fantastic female composer, and she wrote this piece called We Met at the Symphony. It's a string quartet and soprano. And the minute we finished the piece, she was on her feet. And so we started a conversation. She's like, I met my husband at the symphony. And it's just fun. It's great how just music connects with you in so many different ways. And it brought her right into the whole conversation of it. She was happy she got to experience it at that moment. So I think, and we continue to try to do that. There are a lot of incredible works that we would like to bring forward from our historical Black composers like Samuel Coleridge Taylor, who a Black British composer, to our fantastic composers that are living today. There's a young composer, James Lee III. He's written 3 pieces for the British Chamber Players, and on that concert not only Dr. Okoye's piece, but another female composer, Jessie Montgomery, who's making an incredible splash.
Yes.
New composer right now. You can probably find a lot of her pieces. Currently, she's now Chicago Symphony's composer in resident, just incredible. So do look for her and check out some of her works. We're playing her somewhere next season, so stay tuned.
Well, I thank you so much. We ran out of time. I could talk to you. When we first met, I think we spoke for 2 hours. Yes, it was amazing. And I think it's great that you are showing, just showing all these Black classical composers that put some incredible music that, one day we'll go and hear something else other than Puccini.
Right.
Thank you. Yes, so please, we're going to end the show with this great duet here, and we got 7 more shows with incredible guests like this gentleman right here, and we also have some restaurants, about 4 that are coming to bring some of their food in the next shows. So we're planning 7 great shows right up to November 4th, because our first show had to be canceled. So I hope to see you. Tell your friends, bring them here. This is a celebration of who we are, and this town is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it Once again, so lady, we close the show with the incredible duet, Abigail and Andre Gruber.